Welcome back, YouTube. It's been a while since I did a video update on the tank, but I wanted to give you a nice video overview of the new build. As you can see, I have it all nice and set up, and the new cat of the house is actually patrolling to see if everything's okay with it. It's been about 2 weeks since the build's been set up. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is underneath the stand of the tank. As you can see, I left it open again this time. The new stand, the outside of this stand is actually a burnt pine, and the inside of the sump area I painted white. I really like the white and blue look inside of it. It matches the skimmer. I got all the plumbing blue, all the connections and fittings were all white. Really, it looks really good underneath the tank, and I really like it. I left all the equipment pretty much the same. I still have the auto top off from Advanced Acrylics in here with the Tunzi Nano auto top off running. As you can see, the pump's inside. I can't really see the pump inside the actual smoked auto top off container area, but you can see in the far end the actual auto top off sensor in the last chamber. Still have the Jaeger 150 watt heater. In the winter time, I'll put a backup one in there. I should have a backup one in there now in case of failure, hooked up with the Apex, but I haven't gotten that far yet, is to go through and do that and finish that programming. As you can see, my 3 return lines, which are kind of hard to see, these are the 2 main ones that are coming off this energy overflow, and then my backup's in this chamber right here, and it's just a little bit higher, so I can hear it kind of trickle in if it's taking the backup. I haven't fully dialed in my synergy overflow to get it as silent as I want it, mainly because my return pump is a lot more overpowered than needed for this build. So I honestly need to downsize my return pump to reduce noise, to increase energy efficiency, and then I'll actually be able to compete with that noise level from the overflow and really tune it in so it's pretty much dead silent. And then probably the loudest thing at that point would be my protein skimmer, which is pretty quiet. Can't argue with the IceCap K120 protein skimmer. Still doing pretty good. As you can see, the muck that I have in here, that's, I think, a week, less than a week of dark skim mate coming out of there. Real black gooey stuff, which is really, really nice. When you fire on, go to the laptop here and turn on my Refugium light. I'm still using the Nanobox Beam Refugium light. Really, really like it. And ever since I switched to Culpra, despite everyone's warnings, I absolutely love it. My Culpra's growing 3 times as fast as my Chatos. So just to give a little side shot also so you could see a little more of the plumbing, I actually installed these 2 nice little case lights from IKEA. I have them just recessed up underneath the stand, and with a flick of a switch I could actually just click them on and off to get a little bit more light in the back of the stand, which was a lot nicer than my last build. I highly recommend, before you get all your equipment in there and all your plumbing in there, to put some kind of light so you can kind of see in the back, see if there's water dripping. Maybe you drop something in the back and you're trying to find it. My last build was a huge pet peeve of mine that I didn't have that, and it made it a complete pain to deal with. The plumbing on this one was really nice. I actually was able to fit all the plumbing to the back of the stand, to the back of this piece of plywood, with these brackets. These are just little piping brackets that I actually painted to match the plumbing, and I screwed them, fixated them to the back of this stand just to have a little bit more security, and so that none of it's pulling on the bulkheads in the back of the tank to reduce stress, which is the main reason why I actually ended up doing that. With the plumbing, it was a much more efficient plumbing design that I did on this one. As you can see, my manifold comes off this YYE, which it doesn't, unlike a T, like a standard T, it increases your flow a little bit better because it's a straight angle. And because of this, I feel like that I'm even, the pump could go even lower than I initially assumed it could go as far as size. This is a Syncra, I believe it's a 4.0, which is like 1,000 gallons per hour, which is highly unnecessary for this build. This media reactor probably only needs about 100 gallons per hour flow at the rate I'm putting in for the carbon, and that still might just be a little bit too much. And this media reactor needs anywhere between 200 and 300 gallons per hour per flow, and that at times is even too much. And the biopellets are even spinning a little bit faster than I should have them, so I could even dial that down a little bit more. Plus the tank. All 3 of those, I could probably get away with a 600 gallon per hour pump, between 600 and 700 gallons per hour. Obviously, over time, they'll be built up in the pump, they'll build up in the tubing, that'll either need replaced or cleaned, and that'll reduce the efficiency of the pump. But somewhere in that range will probably be just fine, where I could get the flow I need and still power all the equipment I need. All right, here's a shot of the back of this stand, the best actual angle I can give you. As you can see, I actually installed on this cabinet 2 ice cap fans. There's one here and one on the exact opposite side. And they're circulating air on the top of my stand, keeping all of my equipment cool and keeping the humidity out of that. With the drawer in this one, I wanted to make sure I had that to keep that equipment cool and just to make sure there's no overheating problems. Holding my lights, I actually bought the Kessel extension tubes, and these are actually really nice, heavy duty. These knobs turn and adjust up and down so that I can actually adjust the lights up and down on the stand. So I'll just like give you a little angle shot there of that. And then right above this is the Synergy Overflow that I actually purchased. I purchased it off bulk Reef Supply. They actually had it in stock, so I was pretty happy with that. And I absolutely love the overflow. I did dial it in once or twice to get it really silent. I couldn't have been more pleased. It also takes up almost no space inside the actual tank. And that's really ideal on a nano tank. You don't really have much room inside to play around. So as much of the equipment as I can pull outside of the main display and put either in the sump or have a different style of overflow, that would be ideal for your tank. Give you more room for corals, rockwork, and fish, so everyone's a little bit happier. With the plumbing on the Synergy Overflow, I added a lot of unions to this build so I could easily disassemble where needed. As you can see, I have 3 big 1-inch unions here, and then I have 2 gate valves, one on either side, controlling the amount of flow through the Synergy Overflow box. The center one has no valve on it, and that's just my emergency line. If for some reason the water level on this would back up higher than the emergency tube, everything would go down there. This one's actually closed probably about 80%, and that one's closed about 60%. This actually has the full siphon, and that just has a little bit of a trickle of the water. There should be almost no bubbles once the siphon's created coming out of this first overflow, and this is actually the closest, the most direct route as well. Really like this setup. As you can see, my return line on the far end, it has 2 unions on it as well, and then just a little valve in case I need to create some back pressure on my return, which I do actually have that closed, I would say 30% right now, just because of the amount of flow coming out of that return pump. In the near future, I'm actually purchasing a new return pump that'll make it a little bit more efficient. As you can see, I installed the Kessel mounting arms in this one, which I'm really happy with. It's a huge upgrade over my last light mounting system. This part right here is actually the True Lumen Moonlight that I zip tied to the top of this, which actually fit just fine. I was able to wire it down underneath the tank. Those are the moonlights I'm using right now. I actually have to order another set for this side. I lost the screw for the first A160. This is my original A160. So I actually had to zip tie this to this bracket until I could purchase the screw again and really get it mounted correctly. But I really like the mounting arms. They're adjustable up and down, really just a twist of a screw, and they're very stable and very secure. So I don't have to worry about, you know, if I bump the stand, will the light come off, will anything fall off it. It's a really nice touch, and it just gives it a really clean look as well. The cables actually run down in this tube. The cable that's zip tied to the outside of the tube is just my moonlight. This wouldn't be here if I didn't have moonlights on here. But as you know, the Kessel LEDs actually can't quite get to that moonlight. It's a little too bright of a moonlight. So I bought these. These were like $13 at Marine Depot, and they work wonders on the tank. And they light it up just enough so you can kind of see a little bit what's going on at night. It doesn't completely scare the fish when the lights go out. And I can stalk for predators, such as bristleworms. So a little different in this build, I wanted to be able to organize my electronics a little better. I got those brackets in the back of the tank kind of holding some of the electronics together, but I also did this drawer. So I mounted my A2X controller display unit on the outside along with the spectral controller from Kessel on the outside of the tank. So I could control either of those 2 functions from the stand, or I could log on to my Apex Fusion and control it, which is a little bit easier. But what makes it nicer is if I just pull out this nice little drawer, there is my Apex controller. Now this was a little more organized. I actually had to find a cable in here the other day, so I had to dig through. But these little covers actually snap right on top, and most of my cables will be organized back into here. You should get my Apex Energy 8-bar with all the little plugs plugged in, the auto top off, moonlight, heater, all the fun little toys are plugged into here. And then on my actual Neptune Apex over here in the corner, everything else is plugged in to control the rest of the tank, along with my battery backup for my ice cap. So as you can see, I was actually able to get a lot up here in the drawer. It's away from the tank, it can't get wet, which is ideal. I don't have to worry about that. I don't even have to worry about humidity in here. I've actually done some tests and everything seems fine. Those ice cap fans circulate. This top portion's open underneath it, and those fans are just circulating air around and around and around and exiting it out the side of the tank. Appearing as a guest on today's show is the girlfriend's cat, helping admire the tank as well. I went with this open design on the bottom of the stand mainly because of airflow. It really helps keep everything cool inside the stand unit. I don't want to trap humidity in there affecting any of the electronics, and I like to be able to see everything that's going on as I pass. Gives me a sense of peace as I walk through the tank, and I can see something's working, something's not working, something's leaking, up until it's too late, which is really, really nice. I just like the look too. You know, a lot of the equipment that I have decided to pick for this build was picked for the look. I want the entire package, from the actual display of the tank to the bottom of the stand, to be designed together, to seem to flow and artistically fit the build. It's why I went with the blue and white PVC plumbing. It's why I went with that ice cap skimmer. I felt that was a very nice design. I felt like it was going to be more than powerful enough. The Nanobox beam is a beautiful, beautiful refugium light. I can't say more. And I actually do like the Vast Marine reactors. Those media reactors look a lot better than my last canister reactors, which were kind of like an eyesore and a pain to use. So the entire build was designed to kind of flow together. The actual cabinet itself, it's actually really neat. If you look at my build thread, it's actually burnt pine. We took a blowtorch out and just, had standard pine and blowtorch the side of this. I'll try to zoom in and give you a look, but you can see like char marks on the different sides of wood, and that's why the texture is so unique on this stand. Another key part that I love. The white paint in the actual cabinet just helps you see everything inside your actual stand, especially when you flick on your LED lights, which I have installed underneath. It just helps light it up so you can see anything's going on. And obviously I turn on the refugium light just so you can get a better idea of what everything looks like underneath, but I kind of want to just give you an overall shot of the side of it, and you can kind of see what's going on. Eventually I'll get all these electronics over here cleaned up. A lot of those will actually go back underneath the drawer. I haven't finished organizing everything yet. And then I'll have a nice bookcase over here, and then I'll probably mount them on the side of the bookcase just so that they're up off the ground and nothing's on the floor in case of any kind of accidental spillage. This is the burnt pine that I was talking about we did with this stand. Wanted to give you a look at how neat the different textures are and the different patterns are. When the lights get really blue at the Tinic, it looks really, really neat too. There's like a bluish purple haze to it, which you can kind of see now. The part that I like the most about it is the design was really left on the grain of the wood. So with the different grain textures and the different amount of burning we used, it's a really unique design. No part of the cabinet or stand's really the same, and that's what I love the most about it. It's just something unique, a little nice touch to it. Everyone's favorite part to display. And this is what we all get in the hobby for, truthfully. In this build, I wanted to go with a substrate, so I went with a special grade sand. It's like 0.5 to 1 millimeter in diameter, so it's not quite crushed coral. It's a little bit smaller than that, but it's really, really nice. I saw it in a couple different builds. People had some corals in the substrate, and I thought it looked the best. I actually put a nice rock flower anemone over here in the corner in the substrate, which ideally that's one of the reasons why I went for this. And hopefully I'll get a sand skiffing goby or something else inside the tank to help kind of churn the sand bed a little bit. The A cans up in the front, these three seem to be doing really, really well in the substrate, and they like it a lot. I almost put them in the rock. I actually remounted them on frag plugs just in case they wouldn't like the sand on the bottom of it. But as you can see, this one, if you remember, this was 2 or 3 heads 4 or 5 months ago. And it's 12, 14 heads right now. I'm doing really good. My rainbow is actually doing really, really well too. The lights are really, really daylight right now, so you can't really see the coloration. I could kind of change the light for you a little bit.